Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are you today? I hope all of you in good conditions. Alright, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Indri Lestari, and I'm from class 6H, and my student ID number are 1911040362. And in these occasions, in this video, I will present my proposal to fulfill final examinations of seminar lessons. Alright guys, I will start my presentations. Here, the title of my proposal is The Influence of Using Cake Applications Towards Student Speaking Skills in 7th Grade at SMPN 1 Rawajitu Selatan, or in the junior high school. And then the next point that I will explain is about introduction. The first, that is a background of the problem. Of course, here any problem that must discuss in this proposal. The first is about the issue. The first issue is using traditional methods or media in the teaching and learning process become of greatly affect student interest. Mostly, students will be less interested in facing English class. And then the second issue is lack of vocabulary in the main cause for students not being able to master speaking skills. So we can know that the problem is students cannot master speaking skills, and the cause or the reason why the student cannot master speaking skills. The first, because student less interested in facing English class. Why? Because maybe sometimes the method or media in the teaching and learning process that is a traditional method. And then the second reasons that is lack of vocabulary. Student lack of vocabulary or lack of knowledge, so that they cannot master speaking skills. And then the next point. The next point is about previous study and gap of the research. The first previous study, that is research that have been conducted by Yanti in 2021 by the title of the research, The Use of Cake Application in Teaching Speaking to Senior High School Students. And then in this research, the focus is the use of cake application that can be used to teach English or speaking skill in telephone application that is interesting and fun for students. And then the second preview study, that is the research that have been conducted by Aryanika in 2022. The title of the research is The Effectiveness of Using Cake Applications in Improving Student Speaking Skills. And then in this research, the research that have conducted by Octavianita, use data collecting, literature review, the literature review studies, and from other document analysis. And then the purpose of this study is to use cake applications to learn speak English in a classroom setting. And then the gap of the research. What is the gap of this research with previous research? Yeah, the gap with the previous research is this research use quantitative approach and experimental in collecting the research data. And then the gap of the research also the influence of using cake applications. As we know, yeah, in the first research that have been conducted by Yanti, the focus is the use of cake applications. Yeah, after the use of cake application in teach English or speaking skill, and then researchers think, is there any significant influence of using these applications in the student speaking skill or not? Like this. And then the next point in introduction is identifications of the problem. Some the problem that occurred in the student or in the school. The first, student did not understand speaking skill because lack of vocabulary and knowledge. And then the second or another factor is that students are not interested in English class because the usual teaching method or traditional teaching method. And then the next is limitations of the problem. What is the limitations of the problem in this research? Yeah, this research will be limited to using cake application in English learning process. So the limit of this research is only in the using the cake application in English learning process in teaching speaking skills. Um, so that the problem that arises and will be investigated is the influence of using cake applications towards student speaking skill in 7th grade at SMPN 1 Rawajitu Selatan. And then the next point in the introduction, that is formulations of the problem. What is formulations of the problem in this research? All right, the formulations of the problem in this study is there a significant influence of using cake applications towards students speaking skill in 7th grade at SMPN 1 Rawajitu Selatan. And then the next is objective of the research, objective of the problem, or the aim. Yeah, the researcher carry out the study with the aims of finding out whether there is no or any significant influence of using cake applications toward student speaking skill in 7th grade at SMPN 1 Rawajitu Selatan. And then the next the next is a review of a related literature. The first is speaking skills. What is speaking skills? All right. Here, according to the expert, namely Lados, in 1991, he said that speaking is an activity to express and know oneself in situations, or an activity to report actions or situations with appropriate words, or the ability to speak or express a sequence of idea fluently. And then speaking skill is one of the first skill in English besides reading, and then listening and writing. And then the next, it's related to Zulfikar 2013 that state speaking skills are very important in learning a language. Why? Because success use language, especially second language and foreign language in real life situations, right, can be measured through speaking. So we can know that speaking is important thing that we must learn in English. Why? Because speaking is one of first skill in English besides reading, listening, and writing. And with speaking, we can express our situations, and then our activity, our actions, and theaters. And then the next The next is about cake applications. What is cake applications? Alright, it is a popular English learning applications developed by South Korea. And cake application is the best application to learn speaking English because it uses video to give us an example of word that will be very useful in everyday life speak. It's related according to a battle statement in 2019. And then the other expert, namely Lestari, in 2021, she said that CAC application is an English learning application that focused on speaking skills. So we can know or we can conclude that these applications or CAC applications can uh, we use to learning speaking. And then the next is the relevant studies. The first, the first is studies or research that have been conducted by Yanti in 2021. The use of cake application in teaching speaking to senior high school students. It is the title of her research, right? And then the focus, the focus of her research is the use of cake application as one of learning resources that can be used to teach English in telephone applications that is interesting and fun for students. And then the next is research design. In this study, the research design use qualitative research and then data collecting by use observations and then questionnaires. And the last is subjects. The subject of this research is student class 10 science program in SMA in senior high school PGRI 3 Bogor. And then the next is relevant studies, the second relevant studies. All right, the second relevant studies that is studies that have been conducted by Octavianita in 2022 by the title The Effectiveness of Using Cake Applications in Improving Student Speaking Skills. And then the data collecting. The data collecting of her research is literature review studies and from other document analysis. And then the purpose of her study is to use cake applications to learn speaking English in classroom settings. And then the findings of her research is student interested in using the cake application because it is easy to use and it has many features which help in improving speaking skills. All right, the next is the research methodology. The first is research design. In this study, researchers use a quantitative approach that the research design is experimental. The researcher used a pre-experimental that used only one group with pre-test and also post-test. And then the next, here is the illustrations of pre-experimental research designs. We can see together here Y1, X, and then Y2 ya. In here explanations, the first is student speaking skill will be measured by pre-test, but it's before give treatment. And then after that, after pre-test, student giving treatment to student by using cake applications. And then after done, give treatment to the student. And then student speaking skills also will be measured more or measured again with post-test. Post-test doing with post-test is doing after give treatment to the student with cake applications. And then the next is research methodology. There is population and sample. The first, populations. What is populations? Yeah, population is all research subject. In this study, the population was 7 grade students on SMPN 1 Rawajitu Selatan. And then the second is sample. What is the sample? Yeah, the sample is a part of the population to be observed. And in the study, the sample is used by the researcher is class 7 ya, class 7 student at SMPN 1 Rawajitu Selatan. And then the research instrument. What is research instrument? Yeah, according to Yin 2011, the research instrument is a tool to collect the data. All right, and in this experimental study, in this research, the researchers use tests as instrument to collect the data. There are two kinds of the tests that will be conducted for this research. The first is pre-test, and the second is post-test. Pre-test give to the students before treatment, and then post-test will be give to the student after treatment. Treatment with cake applications. And the next is the data analysis. Okay, to identify whether there is an influence from using the cake applications on the student speaking skills, this study used a part sample t-test. Use a part sample t-test with data from pre-test and post-test. This research will be conducted at SMPN 1 Rawajitu Selatan for 7th grade students. And then this research was conducted because it saw the problem that exists in the student in the school, that is not mastering speaking skills. They not master speaking skills because the first, they're not interested in learning English. Why? Because the usual or boring learning method are learning media. And then the second is lack of knowledge and vocabulary, so that the students cannot master speaking skills. And then the third is the different from previous research or the gap of the research. The gap of the research, the first, this research used quantitative experimental with the post-test and then pre-test. Pre-test is given before a student get the treatment, and then post-test is give to the student after they get the treatment of using cake applications. And then the aims of this study is to find out whether is an effect or using cake applications on students' speaking skills. Is there any influence or not? And then the previous research used qualitative research with literature review and then observations and questionnaires as the way to collecting the data. And then the aims. The aims in the previous study or the previous research is to use cake applications to learn speak English or to learn speaking skill in a classroom setting or classroom activity like this. That's all my presentations about my proposal today. And then the next is uh, here references. Here some references that support my proposal. We can see together. Here also the references. And last, yeah, my presentations of my proposal was done. And thank you very much for your guys' attention. And the last word I'm saying, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.